Hey Dad, I convinced you to, well, I guess like together we work towards making some decisions to buy some cannabis stocks, which so far has turned out to be really well. A lot of the purchasing happened around this area. Um, this was when it was at the $12 mark. I don't know, for a long time I was saying in this whole swing area, especially when we were down here after this bull run. We had this nice bull run up to $17. We retraced down to 9. We had the second tap, but at a lower phase with less volume, and then the drop off. That's a classic bull trap scenario. That's the pattern that people are looking for before like a runoff, an even out, and then a swing. And it looks like we're going to potentially repeat that pattern, which is why I made this analysis video for you to get a good idea of what you should do with your investments, because the most profitable move may not be to just hold them until cannabis is legal, but actually in the short term, sell, know when to rebuy with strength, with a specific point to sell off if things do not go the direction that we want them to go. But likely they'll go in the upswing because of legalization. So down here, I drew this green line. This is a major support point, meaning that like psychologically, this is a price that people would say, oh, it's not going to go much lower than this. It tapped on that line 3 times. It's $13. It was, it traced up to a much higher price than that. In fact, it went up 234%. So people are going to say, in here is a good time to buy. So if you hit this line, you're going to see a lot of buys trigger, and you're going to see the price rebound if you were to ever fall that low. The same thing goes for any of these green support points. Hang on, I'm just going to get the door. Can I pause the recording? No, I can't. Hey, I'm just recording something. I'll be back in a second. Okay. If you're watching the recording, just skip the part where I go outside the door. Anyway, so we traced up at the most 234%. Of course, right now we're not at that level. We are at 163% less. But the reason I think it's important to do the analysis now is we do have this uptrend line, which is established by this point that we bounced off of. So there is some resistance there. We also have this downtrend line because the price, when it bounced back up, did not make it to the same height as the previous point, and there was less volume. There was much more buy volume when we hit our high than when we retraced to hit our second high. And that means that we're likely going to bounce in the downward direction and hit this support point. Now, the reason I think it's important to know that is because that is a whole 15%, and if you have 100K in the market, that's $15,000 that you could take profits from. Now, we already retraced a little bit. We might bounce a bit. This is over a large time scale. So actually moving from this point to the line is more than 2 weeks. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it means that like a lot of people are going to be doing technical analysis, and they're going to be selling off in this region. I'm going to add a target there because like this is going to be their target region to sell. Or maybe not sell, but set stop losses, which means a sell that automatically triggers if we drop below, say, this line, this green line that I'm moving. Which would mean that if things keep going up, you ride them up. But if you're wrong and they go down, you automatically sell. And then you set an alert to watch for that next support point, which is between here and here. That's like our support zone, so we'll draw a second line. So you get an alert when we cross here. And then you can decide if you want to create a target to buy somewhere down here. Of course, with another stop loss, meaning that just underneath you'd have an automatic sell point in case you were wrong again. Meaning that you can maximize the profit you ride up and minimize the money you lose if you sell. And we're going to look for support on this line, and we're going to look for support on this uptrending line. Now, what I'm expecting to see, because of the time scale that we're looking at, is a scoop, kind of like this. So you have this meteoric, bull run here, which is just like what we saw, boom. And then we have retrace, and then we have a tap with less volume. It's very clear, a tap with less volume. And then we trail down again. And we trail down till, in this case, just about the top of the support point. Now, I want to reinforce that these support points are like Oh, my guy's running all over the place. Now, these support points are super important because everybody uses them to help pick buy points. Everybody. Every major fund, every bot, everybody. Everyone's using this. The reason why they work is because everyone uses them. Whether or not that sounds great is, anybody's guess, but that means that the lowest we're looking to hit in this region over here is this support. This is a major support point in, people's minds for the price. So we're just going to make that line a little thicker so that that's a major support point. Oops. So that means right in the range that we are now is actually a good time to sell off Canopy stocks, or at least have stop losses right below and expect a bounce downwards. We might hit the support point, at which point you can potentially enter a new position. But if we don't settle there, and even if we do, you'll see that if we see a reversal pattern like we did here, which is a double top, boom, boom, or any of these, it's a downward trend in general. We did a double top with a downward trend, and then we followed a 5-point pattern pretty on the dot, actually. Let's grab our 5-point wave impulse. We did a double top, so 1, 2, and then there was a downtrend, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we had consolidation, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Consolidation. These are flags of the price could have decided direction. So we're looking for the same sort of pattern over here. Now, given that it will likely repeat in some manner, you're probably going to see the price bounce down here, maybe again up, and maybe down to our line, or maybe a little more of a scoop outwards. And then if you look at the bottom of September and November, July, right around June, July is when stuff is supposed to be getting legal. So maybe we won't dip too much because people are getting excited, but it's likely that we'll kind of scoop. And then some information is going to come out in this area, and we're going to see a similar upwards swing again before some major news comes out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this is all great, but how do we know when shit's going to happen? Well, I said alerts. So if we touch this, I'd say weed hitting major downtrend line. Please check the price. Boom. Okay, so now we know if the price hits this downtrend line, which we're going to tighten up just in case we want to know a bit early. And then which means we'll move our sell target in because we of course want to do it before other people, because if everyone does it first, you're fucked. And if we break this support here, you can see that there's two things that most people are looking at here, including this uptrend that was created in the most recent price swing, and it's almost at the end of its steam as well, because if you go William Haas on it, a retrace. Oops. Oh, no. There we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have this consolidation. This is like a flag. What's called a flag. So it means that the prices didn't really move much up above one another. And there's a slight downward angle from the top of this candle to the top of this candle. There's a price moving out sideways, which means it's deciding a direction to go. So the price needs to decide a direction to go. It's about to break out. Now, the issue is we have a little bit of support here, but we haven't been above that price that long. We have this downtrend line that's giving us pressure. We've already topped out this uptrend line just about, and so now would be an appropriate time to sell if you were thinking to sell. Now, you might have a bit more time before the price tanks. I can't say for sure because, of course, this time scale is not a few minutes from the actual candle here until the trend line is 5 days. So you have essentially to the end of the week to decide, and then next week you're going to see a lot of the larger funds that have a ton of money in this setting very tight stop losses, because they think we might downtrend, and they're happy to see downtrend because they're looking to pick up more of the stock at a lower price. They're just trading it up and down to make money. They don't care what stocks they have. They just don't care. And you know, if they're able to pick some more up here, and then we hit the line again, you know, that's a beautiful little. They'll make a 12% gain, and hedge funds are looking to make 10% a year. So if they can do that, they'll be super happy. And of course, if you can do that with 100K, you're making $12,000 in, you know, a period that could be 14 days. It's very, very good gains. Now, long term, hopefully, what we're going to see is a repeat of these patterns again, but on a larger scale. And so, if we see a trace from, like, if we go to the top of this price to the top of this price, 150% gains. So 1.5x over 419 days. You know, I think we might be able to see those types of gains again. But of course, if we had sold around this zone or this zone, bought here, sold around this zone, bought in this zone, or even a little lower, you're going to get so much more of those gains. And it's pretty easy to see where that stuff's going to happen. And you can set up your trade plays so that you're going to maximize those upswings, but you're going to have safeties in case you go down. So using these cannabis stocks, which are just, you know, exploding, and you can make so much money in them, you can take profit when you're happy with these amazing prices. Like at 42, had I known technical analysis, when things were at 42, I would have said sell or set a stop loss at 40. So when it dropped to 40, your position would automatically sell. And of course, a fuckload of people did that. So many, in fact, that we drove the price back up to 29, which became our resistance point, when they bought right back up, and then they bounced off this line, creating a trend and showing that this is, in fact, a bull trap around the $33 mark. So this has been analysis of weed. If there's anything you'd like me to explain in more detail, let me know. But as you can see, if we want to play this one smart, what you're going to do is you're going to set a stop loss right in this zone. And we're going to mark that. And we're going to change the color so it's very, very clear which line we're talking about. We're going to make it purple. So that purple is where you would have your stock automatically sell. And the way it works is that you set a little cell that says if the price hits $30, $31, set an order to fill at $30.50, and you'd sell it at $30.50, and you'd say, good job, I did it. And if you're wrong and the price goes up, your order never goes on the books, and you just write it up. You send an alert here for when the price has moved, and then you go and you move up your stop loss. And your stop loss gets moved to a higher price, so it's only triggering a higher price. And you slightly move it up as you get your alerts. And then once it moves down, it locks your profits in. And so you ride the upswings and you avoid the downswings. If you want to get even fancier, you can actually start doing shorts as well. But I think at this point, you know, it's not get too fancy just yet. This is already a lot of TA. But, you know, this is the general direction the market's going to go. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to rename this. This is a weed TA analysis. And I'm just going to show Afria by comparison because I have a feeling that you're going to see the chart look very similar. Alright, so here's Afria. Looks almost the goddamn same. And you'll notice that it followed weed. And we can actually overlay weed just to show you. I mean, it's like almost stupid. They're doing the exact same thing with a few exceptions. But weed is the biggest one, so that's kind of the one that the rest of the market's following, which is why you know, weed is in red. You'll see like it shot off. I'm looking at the wrong. Okay, let me to 1 hour. It'll be a little more clear. You'll see that I told you to buy weed, and it shot off, and you're like, it's too late. So you bought Afria, and Afria shot off afterwards. So you can see that Afria is like trailing a little bit in general. And also, of course, there's more confidence in weed. So weed is getting a little more buys, and it's the one that kind of drives the market. But very, very similar patterns. One is in a sense driving the other. So it's good to look for weed to know where Afria is going to go. Afria might like come up and tap again. But in general, looking at Weed's chart, it would be worth it to put some stop losses in and pick up some bags at a lower price and just really maximize your profits on the way up.